of just getting us ready for next week. Welcome to this special episode of the Tilted Roll podcast, where normally our Shadows of the Empire live stream would go. But I'm still getting stuff ready for our new campaign, which will be starting next week. So I kind of thought it'd be nice just to kind of have a little bit of a recollection of kind of the last 2 years on the last campaign. Right now we're kind of having some people I know are potentially filtering in, hoping that Franny will be here. Otherwise, I know pretty much Dylan may or may not show up. We know we will not be having Bennett. But at least I'll be able to get two perspectives kind of between the two of you, which is Jade and Peyton, which is at least that I get the perspective of somebody who was there from the beginning and somebody who came in about
for
three
the
quarters
last hot
in.
minute.
Yeah, about three
Yeah,
quarters
for the last
in.
hot minute.
Mm-hmm. So it was interesting, I think, when we started, Jade, because we very much didn't have a set schedule then.
No.
So I feel like it was always weird to like try to like set up how we were going to be doing this.
It was in the old Skype days.
Skype, yeah. Don't. Oh God, the horror of Skype.
Hey, back then it worked, kind of.
I mean, it did. It worked then because it could get this layout that now Discord does have, which is nice. I have this even layout of webcams. Before I even knew Discord had this, I remember I was looking at like every option known to man in terms of webcam services because I didn't want to use the new version of Skype.
Webcam services, ooh, Marshall.
Or you know what I mean, like. You know what I mean?
I don't judge what you do in your free time. That's up to you.
No, I just mean, that it definitely, like, Discord having this ability was a huge saving grace to things. But yeah, back on Skype was a fun time trying to get everyone on. So when we started our group in early March of 2017, it was you, Jade, Franny, Dylan, and then we had Franny's sister Jocelyn, who was playing a halfling monk. I think she inevitably became Way of the Kensei.
I believe so.
Yeah. I think
Does Xanathar's come out that long
No,
ago?
so when the book came out, I was like, hey, if you just want to switch to something from Xanathar's because they're kind of cool, go right ahead.
Oh, okay.
So, and I guess I don't know what the decision was, but I know Franny was helping her a lot out with that. And I think maybe they were using a UA, they might have been starting with the UA version of that from the start. I think maybe. I don't remember if there was a UA Kensei out.
I think there was like some variant of it.
Yeah.
Unless they just pulled, because I feel like a lot of the UA subclasses that they were kind of floating around and playing with ended up in Xanathar's.
Yeah, at least early on. I don't remember. Because the Circle of Twilight. Yeah, but I know like Circle of Twilight didn't make it there. Which was kind of a bummer. The true edgelord druid subclass.
Well, now we got spores, so
it kind of was the replacement. Must have been my other phone.
I mean,
I heard like a vibration, but I didn't see anything change in my phone here, and I'm like, what's doing?
Hexblade seems relatively similar, but again, the only UA hexplay I've experienced was Tyler and his crazy concept that you could deconstruct warlock spells to like weaker versions.
Not how it works. That was a class error on his part. For sure.
The funny thing is, we didn't realize that he was doing. Wait, no, I called him on it immediately. because I'm like,
right,
no.
but it's just whether or not you kind of knew like that was wrong. Like you,
No, the only reason I do have the Warlock work. I did not know how Hexblade worked at that time. I'm like, dude, no, you only have 2. What? Yeah, you can't break your 3rd level spells down to 3 first levels. They're always 3rd, but you get them back every short rest.
yeah,
There's a caveat.
yeah, it's the shotgun mentality. Even though it's actually shotguns are technically slower to load, it just doesn't really work. The metaphor doesn't really work there.
It takes an hour to reload your shotgun, so yeah, I think that metaphor still works.
But the idea is that, you know, think of an assault rifle or like a single shot assault rifle.
I just think of it as twin barrel.
Those are precise, and you know you could peter out. You could go full auto. You could go burst. You could go single. But it's way easier to reload an assault rifle than a shotgun. So it doesn't. The metaphor is lost. But yeah, no. Warlock is very much in terms of at least its spells, a shotgun mentality in casting. It's just bam. All of them or nothing.
Yeah, no,
full power. There is no petering it back.
That's the kind of problem I'm having. This is unrelated with occultists and the modern thing we're going to be starting soon, but
yeah,
I won't go further into that.
Yeah, that's not
off topic.
Right, and that's
off topic. Sorry,
we're doing we'll be not doing modern. But speaking of warlocks, this is a good transition. So
yeah,
Franny,
speaking of warlocks,
Franny started as a warlock.
We never had a warlock ever.
warlocks are fun.
Well, and honestly, it's still one of my favorite stories. It really is one of my favorite stories to tell with this campaign, just because of the ridiculous set of circumstances that went into that whole thing.
Okay.
It was an ordeal.
Yeah, because you guys, was this in Yeastguard when you guys were there?
Is Yeastguard the one with the dwarfs and the flying stuff?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because you guys were at the, you went to the fort. I don't recall it made them exhausted the first time, like in the first place. I think it was both you and Franny, wasn't it?
Yes, there was a chest that I grabbed the key to and booked it, trying to open it before anyone else. And at the time, a lot of people
trying to take
me.
gold. Ooh,
your arrogance.
Before you came along, there were others who also didn't trust me to do my job correctly. So,
well, Franny never has. No. Franny's character, at least, never has.
Yeah, honestly, like playing like the most goody two shoes lawful good paladin was like probably the hardest RP experience of my life, because I am like I thrive in D&D, at least I thrive in chaos. So trying to be like so straight edge and like sticking to the rails was like at times painful for me, because JD, you were doing stuff as Jet, and I'm like, yes, if I was just another character, I'd be so for that, but damn it. I gotta stop him.
See, and that's kind of what I'm excited, because that's kind of what I'll be doing in our friend John's campaign on Thursdays. Whenever we switch campaigns, whenever that may be. I guess we aren't doing the low magic setting that we were initially planning, possibly, okay. But I'm still planning on playing more of like a sneaky chaos kind of based character. And because I realized I really never play rogue ever. So I was like, I should do something rogue-like. And so I was like, okay, this is a good opportunity. Because I like rogue. I wouldn't say I play a goody two-shoes character all the time, but I would say I usually play more of the straight man out of necessity.
Okay, in the groups that I've played with you as a player we do need a voice of reason half the time.
Yeah. That's why I'm glad. I like where I was at with the character on Fridays beforehand, because I felt like she was on good middle ground where like I could make her a straight edge, but then, or like the straight person, but then
I feel like you were the embodiment of
truth. I could
at that time.
Yeah, but then I would just have like a weird statement that it's just like I'm sorry.
Well, it works because you're a
Like,
druid, and
yeah, just
I don't think he had
more
like
bringing
crazy
up the
low
undead.
charisma, but like
No, it was I had a 14. So no,
yeah,
yeah,
no, that's the thing I'm gonna be doing in Frank's campaign if he ever starts it with my little goblin
we're getting
ranger.
there.
Like he has 12 intelligence, but I feel like goblin 12 intelligence is not the same as human 12 intelligence. So
Potentially, because you gotta. I guess it's relative.
I mean, like
Who have you been around?
he is
Would really
gonna
be the
speak
question.
broken common, but I have decided when he speaks Elven, it's like perfect. He speaks perfect Elven, but as soon as he's common, it's broken. And he doesn't really understand pronouns.
Are you gonna go more caveman or like foreigner?
I guess more like foreigner, like some of like the more subtle things. Like he will always refer to himself in the third person, not with me, I, because going with the more
You know,
broken,
pure basic goblin ways.
yeah, basic goblin ways. I guess your standard dialect.
I would love somebody to play a goblin, but they're like the most intelligent, but they still have goblin logic.
Wizard.
But they still have goblin logic.
That,
So like
that's
their
why I
logic
like
is,
goblin
I
as a
still
race.
just want to attack you, but they'll eloquently tell you why.
Or they just set up some like crazy Root Vulgar machine to kill you instead of just running up, stabbing you in the thigh, and running away.
But kind of going back to what we were talking about before we slightly were derailed here.
Yeah.
So you guys got exhausted in the Eastguard. The joy of the traps that I lay for you all. And then you got home, or so I think it was like on the travel I had you guys make another con save because you were still technically like under the influence of the trap.
Yes.
Essentially I was doing it until you took a rest. Or it was like every such and such time until you take a rest. So I planned on you guys having like one potential bout of it on the way home. And it definitely worked pretty much exactly how I wanted it to. What I didn't expect was on the last one, Franny to roll the nat 1, which, as is the case on this show, you roll a nat 1, you roll 2d10, and God, for him to get the Deck of Fates card and then to roll to get the Death card, it's
You gave him the deck of many things.
Well, no. It just had you randomly draw from it. You didn't actually have it in your possession. Essentially, think of it as like you failed this, so it's like, oh, and then suddenly one card shows up in your hand. It's just like, what's this? Why is this in my hand? Why does it have a skeleton? Oh no.
Death card. No, it's okay. Death only means change. The Happy Bunny card. No, Simpsons reference.
I'm gonna go off real again because I have no frame of reference for this scene. But I love the idea of the deck of many things. However, I do understand why no one wants to use it.
It's too OP.
No, it could just fuck up your entire campaign.
And it could destroy things. Right. Honestly, to me, the best way to do it, honestly, like, sorry, it sent a really funny snap. Honestly, like, something like that is something that I wouldn't have used in that campaign in Shadows, but it's definitely something I would be willing to bring to the table in Dark Matter because of how just crazy screwy you can get. I think in the setting that I've built for you guys in this coming campaign, the openness that's going to be available to you, I think for crazy things to happen every once in a while, if you found one or found part of one or something like that,
yeah,
it would definitely lend itself, I think, to something interesting. And if it broke part of the campaign or like part of those character stories, other stories could be brought forth. Like, it's not like the whole campaign is over, because there's the connecting piece to kind of everything isn't tied to your characters, it's tied to the world. and
Yep.
it'll just be how your characters react to things that happen. I shouldn't say the world, but the universe. But
I'm just thinking
the
like
world
as,
scope of the story.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm just thinking as like I guess prep before like a big like boss fight. The barbarian pulls out the deck. He's like, what could go wrong? And then instantly gets voided. And now the
Yep.
front line of the party is just gone. They're like, shit.
What you gonna do?
What you gonna do?
Oh, no.
So
Yeah.
last thing I'm gonna say about deck many things, like a method I've seen people say is like if you want to have the deck many things but don't want them to get like screwed over, is like stack the deck. But I feel like that's kind of just
I did that as a, well, it's funny because I'll actually get to that. So finally getting kind of to this. So Franny, a failure upon failure draws the final failure, which is to get the Avatar of Death, which at level 5, I think you guys were at.
I
mean-
it's either 5 or 4, one of those two.
Yeah, you that it's a lot more intimidating. At higher levels, the Avatar of Death is very not intimidating. Like once you get to like
'cause
level 10, it's a cakewalk.
honestly, like most things past level 10, unless you just throw hordes at the party, is kind of not intimidating.
Yeah, but I mean, this is still a CR like it's still like a CR6 creature.
Yeah, but like
So like at level
it always
10,
has your hit points. So like say if you're a level
yeah,
you're
but
level 5
it
and you
doesn't
can
do the same
do-
damage as you. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like say you're a barbarian and you say you're a level 10 barbarian, so you've got 180 hit points. I don't know. I'm going off the head, right? So it has 180 hit points. Okay. You do 2d10 or like 2d6 worth of damage or like a bunch of d12s worth of damage. It does like 2d6.
Yeah, no. I think it's definitely be
Not
more.
even.
I think it's more of a nuisance.
Yeah, later on.
It's not an instant like, oh
But-
shit, we're dead.
But a second level exhaustion, level 5 warlock, it's a problem. Even as a hexblade, it's a problem.
I
Now
believe
it's
he
a
already
problem.
had battle damage from the fight earlier as well.
Yeah. So and you guys were already hurt. He had 2 levels of exhaustion. Like nothing was good for Franny, and this is not a good scenario at all for Franny.
It was looking like he was gonna die.
Yes, and in fact, and I feel like obviously I've clearly fudged certain rules, but because like nobody can interfere with an Avatar of Death, but for some reason Q was able to interfere and save Pathos, especially this. And now the one thing
Plot
was-
armor.
yeah. I mean it was plot armor at its finest. It was
They also
honestly
added another
the
air
one thing
mystery,
though
too.
is that it was benefited by the fact that Franny was the one that Q was bonded to.
Okay.
Had it happened to somebody else, I maybe would have had to hopefully find a solution or just kind of let it go. It would have been hard. What wasn't
For
plot
Resurrection
armor?
side quest.
Yeah, I was gonna say what wasn't plot armor was my inability to know that it auto hits. I just didn't read that correctly.
Oh, it auto hits.
Yeah, so Avatar of Death automatically hits you no matter what.
Oh, he'd been dead.
Okay, so that Okay, that makes
but I
a
didn't know
lot
that.
more sense why it does 2d6 damage. I'm like, wait,
It's
this
something-
thing
it
is
may
the
be less.
Avatar of
It might
Death.
be less. It might be less, but
Ooh.
it's not even then though. It's still not crazy damaging for like a barbarian at a high level who can max DPS like 46 damage a turn, maybe up to like 80 maybe in some
Or
scenarios.
a glass
like,
cannon of a
they're-
hexblade, and you
yeah,
just
like some
fucking-
some cases it's pretty nutty.
It's most things in D&D.
But,
Like you can
Yeah,
throw a monster at a group party and then like
yeah. And
you
obviously
can throw what you
the
think is a
1v1.
challenge monster and they handle it no problem. Then you send like
Yeah.
a simple test and
Yeah,
then
like
they spend 2
giving
hours.
your party a boss that is above their CR level, but they just make every single save except
Paladin.
one, except one
Paladins,
fear.
man. But then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and it makes no difference because he just runs to the no fear circle and it goes away.
I didn't
Oh, I
know
thought
there
you
was a no fear circle.
He
I
did.
was
He,
ready
no,
to
he
get
didn't.
ready.
You did exactly
No,
what you
this
should
was
have
the
done.
first. This was the first time I had the no fear circle
Yeah,
because I
but even
missed
then,
the
you did
session
exactly what
beforehand.
you were supposed to do, which was just run in the opposite direction of him. That was towards the no fear circle, and you went in it. You did exactly what you were supposed to do.
I mean, I
Um,
did get feeble-minded, but it was
for
immediately
but a
arrested
moment.
for like a solid second.
Yeah,
Christoph was a lot dumber than he normally was.
yeah. That one was
That's
funny. I
something.
loved that. That one was funny. At least just to have you.
Okay,
I
even
love
going
casting
from a
feeble
9 to a
mind.
1 intelligence, that's a big drop.
No, but
yes, yes, it is.
casting feeble mind itself is just kind of funny. Just like
I think I did fail one other save in that fight, and I'm like, okay, you're now afraid. I'm like, oh, nah.
Yeah, resistant or immune. But
I'm so charismatic, I cannot be afraid.
yeah, one thing I really so now speaking to your stacking the deck thing, that whole Avatar of Death thing, because you don't really get any rewards for beating an Avatar of Death. So I was like, but I feel like I really kind of kicked the hell out of Pathos. So let's toss
not
him a
looking
bone. And I had him roll on a stack deck, a stack deck for a deck of many things, of what I considered to be good to neutral things.
Mhm.
So what he got was the Fates card, and then he held that, and then just before he died, I was like, well, the card wants him to make a decision, because I let him, like, he was like, can I think about this, when they asked him, like, what decision would you like to change? And he was like, oh, well, can I come back to this? And they're like, sure, but it must be repaid. Or like, no, sure, but this decision must be made at some point. So I let him just kind of, because I just wanted to get the show going, mostly. So it's just like, all right, I'll move on. We'll
Rather
come back
than
to
just
this another
sit
time.
here on this for a while.
Yeah, let him think about it. So he was gonna die. Like, just he rolled a one death fail, and then a nat 1. So 3 death fails. So he was gonna die.
I remember when we were fighting against them. He didn't do that.
Yeah. So I was like, well, you didn't make a decision. So essentially, it was like a universe moment where it's like, before he would go to the afterlife, the card's like, nah, fam, make a decision.
It's like when you're trying to shut down your computer and it's telling you about like some odd programs running in the back. Like, before you shut
Are
down,
you sure?
what do you want to do about this?
Yeah. They're like, we need a decision. And he was like, I was expecting him to be like, I'm not gonna take that step forward towards the big boss guy. Or like, I'm gonna not do this. I am gonna stay at the back of the fight. I'm gonna choose at the beginning to stay as far away from him as possible. Stuff like that, right? No. He instead chooses, I decide to say, like, I tell the person that gave me the pact offer no. And I'm like, are you kidding me? For a moment, I'm just like, are you serious?
Okay. Depending on the situation of the pact, it is, I think, worth trying to get out of it. But also at that moment,
deniable. But that was the decision he made. He was like, I'm gonna change my choice, and I'm gonna say no to being offered that pact. And I was like, okay, so let's just retcon the entire campaign up to this point live in front of people.
I mean, like,
Never happened.
he switched to cleric right after that.
Well, no, so,
or was it something else?
Well, so initially, I just had to come up with anything, right? I just had to come up with how logically what would happen to his character if he said no, because he was in a life or death situation, and by accepting this pact, the pact owner agreed to save his life and took him away. Right? And so they saved him. They teleport, like, so the supposed person he made a pact with teleported him away into Delara, and he was safe. And that was where he like started his like baseline. So he had like initially at the beginning of the campaign, like he met Jet, he met no, not Tarek, he met Jet and Serafina. Like there was a three member group kind of all together in the pre-story to like the first episode, the session 0. Like they were all together. Yeah, like those three knew each other. That had to get retconned out. So they had actually just met the same time they met their at the time cleric Poe. So in terms of that episode, I just had to retcon this. I kind of just treated him like a fighter. I was like, all right, well, at some point you're gonna have to pick a different class, but for now, based on just logic and kind of what your character would have likely done, you probably would have been more in that just more of a martial class territory. So we'll just kind of treat you like a fighter for now. Just give you, and so it's like, so you wouldn't have died because you would have had more health. Here you go.
Moving on.
I was
You're
like,
not-
here
I
we
guess
are.
that
We're in the
that
fight,
thought-
and you're fighting the guy now.
In that thought process, it kind of works, but it's just like that seems like because okay, if I had done like all right, my first sentence like all right, let's go back to before we. Oh wait, no, it's not a time travel card. It's you changed one decision, so
Yeah. So that decision obviously had consequences, and
I say we waited an extra 10 minutes before starting the boss fight. So whatever time it was, you would just be starting, or whatever.
yeah, I mean,
There's no good way to like.
but I mean,
besides,
there's a number of things that could have changed, like it based on other simpler decisions. He chose possibly the most complicated for me to do on the spot. To retcon the entirety of a campaign within a matter of seconds. I just had to keep coming with it on the spot. Like, all right, this probably would happen, and then this probably happened, and then this probably happened, and then here you are.
I mean that happened when we got Thanos snapped, but that's off topic once again.
Yeah, but that wasn't really a retcon. It was just kind of like, all right, things are gonna happen. Like, there's gonna be things that happen.
That wasn't a
from this
retcon,
point
but
on.
it was like it just like
I
derailed everything.
had to like tell the party, like, this is what you know now. You've always known, according to your characters, Pathos has never been a warlock. He has always been Schmerber martial class. And then you guys met him at the same time that Poe came to save you from jail. You know, stuff like that. And it was just the weirdest thing I've ever had to do as a DM. Because again, if I was in a normal campaign, I could have time to think, could work some stuff out.
Come back to it in a bit.
Yeah, it's like, well, I got a mill on this. We'll take a break. I'll come back. Nope, I just had to do it. Boom. Because like the episode had like an hour left still.
And you had a big plan for him being the warlock too, didn't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I should reveal that. So, because now I can talk about it.
Don't leave out the best part.
The big plan with him was, so originally he had the Great Old Ones was his pact, because this is before Hexblade, because Hexblade hadn't come out yet.
Oh, so he was just
and Zargon is a Great Old One, and so it's like bop biddy bip biddy boo, and so I was like, it'll be really cool if I ever get if I take him to a boss fight, I essentially can have him act on his pact and be like, you made a pact with me.
I guess I should have told Scott this when I rolled up Mischief, but I think it'd be really fun as a player that at the end of the campaign, the big end-all be-all bad guy was your patron, and it was basically like, hey,
yeah, and that. Ooh, there we go.
You're on my side now.
Yeah, I mean, that was
go a whole 180. I think that'd be a really fun experience.
That was the plan I had with Pathos. Welcome, Dylan. We're in a weird cut up right now, so I'm fixing our live view here.
Quick, everyone, just leave a call and come back.
No.
It'll
All right.
rearrange everything.
Good enough. All right.
Yeah, I feel like clerics and warlocks could be like really good plot devices for DMs.
Yeah, and that was so Dylan. I just revealed that one of the big plans, because Jade had reminded me that I at one point like mentioned how I had this big plan for a sequence of events to happen with Pathos being a warlock originally. And that was because the pact he made with was technically Zargon.
Oh,
Because
okay.
he had the Great Old Ones as his original pact.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, this works really well. And then when he switched to Hexblade, I was like, all right, well, I'll essentially just make it his sword. So I was like, okay, cool. It works. You know, whatever, right?
Sargon seeks to you through the sword.
Yes. And so I was going to have this whole thing where it's like, you know, it's either Pathos gives up his power or he fights you guys like in the final boss battle.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something I was going to play with, but nope. He retconned that, became a paladin, and everything sucked. No, it didn't, but it did definitely throw a wrench in my plans.
Mm-hmm.
But that was only one thing I was hoping to do in the future. It wasn't such a wrench that like it totally derailed me. Just him being a paladin just changed the interactions that I would probably have with him in the future, but nothing major. But that was we were telling that story.
Paladins always ruin someone's plan.
Technically, it was a warlock that ruined my plan this time.
Yeah,
Technically.
I guess so.
The only plan they don't ruin is God's plan.
No.
I mean, I had a faith written down for Kristoff, but he wasn't really religious. He kind of just had like
and Paladins
basically
don't
like
have to be.
the oath you swear
Right.
swear when you become a police officer.
Yeah.
That was basically his divine oath.
Yeah, with Pathos, I know for Franny, he was a little more religious, but that was because of Poe, who was the cleric to Tritherion and was at the time was like a half angel
Hey.
who like had yet to
Not like
get his
natural
wings.
angel.
Well, I guess he was it was like it was like Miracle on 34th Street or not. No, sorry.
Somebody didn't ring the bell.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do I got the movie right? I'm
Yeah.
get all my Christmas movies screwed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but essentially, yeah, like Poe had to get his wings. He was an angel, he just didn't have his wings.
Mm-hmm.
So what did he do? He killed himself to save Pathos' life.
Okay. That's pretty
I mean,
neat.
Have we talked about like kind of like our favorite arcs throughout the series
I
yet,
was
or like
about
what
to get to that. Yeah, I was about to get to that. So that was kind of gonna be my transition. So like that was really honestly like and I've noted that like that was my favorite moment always though was the Avatar of Death sequence of events that we were talking about earlier. But I am curious, like what was kind of out of, I mean, you again, Peyton, you don't have as much to go off of, but what was kind of,
I mean, I have one combat thing that was
what
really
was your
fun.
like moment that you really like your favorite like moment / arc in the campaign?
I guess my favorite moment was the first combat I went through with Kristoff because he just got like completely shit kicked. And like literally like for so long I'm like, oh wow, this is what it's like to be melee again. Shit, this is fun. Okay, bring it. I'm gonna punch this fucker.
I step into the fog. Pah, pah!
And I didn't
Frozen.
play it up as much as I should based off like the random stuff I rolled for that character, but like deep down, like Kristoff like loved every moment of just getting shit kicked like that because literally for the past 3 months he's been sitting in a town helping a homeless shelter, and now he's actually in combat, so he had a lot of fun during that.
Yeah.
So nothing really lived up to after that combat. I was like, oh, I guess we just killed him. Okay.
Yeah. The surprise. It's hard to surprise higher level parties. Catching them off guard can be a little more challenging. Especially, I think I was a lot of times kind of stuck with certain fears of trying to get something that was maybe too hard. A lot of times, I won't have that problem as much going forward, but it definitely was a concern I had then.
We're starting level 1.
Yes.
I feel like the biggest moment for me where I guess I was just kind of innately curious about how you planned out the difficulty of the encounters is that the moment where we basically had the TPK that then resulted in the whole timeline shift that occurred.
Wasn't really a TPK. It was a 1PK.
Yeah.
that he just happened to be the one with the Fates card.
But I remember that battle, and that was, for some reason, that was a really rough battle for us. I remember a lot of us ended up really low health, or briefly knocked out.
Yeah.
There was a lot of complications that happened with that battle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we've ever had one since then that gave us that much trouble. And I don't know what it was about it that made it so difficult for us. But I was curious if you kind of started scaling back combat.
And he's gone.
He froze. At least I'll start answering. Well, maybe we can get him back. Yeah, no, I mean, the big that combat was, I didn't plan for it to be that hard. I think it was just, I mean, at the time, none of you really had any magical items at all, and I think that's two things that really benefited you guys was kind of my attempt at allowing you to get more magical items so that maybe you could be a little more effective, because you were facing that that dwarf leader, but you were also facing devils that you really hadn't faced before, and obviously as a result it made, and you with you guys not having magical items except for, I think, I don't know, did Pathos have his? Or no, he didn't. So nope. I also have a sneeze coming, and it's there it is.
Hey,
there you are.
Hey.
So
I was just
you're
saying,
a portrait.
I was curious if you guys, my computer straight up just shut off.
Okay. Cool.
I was curious if you guys, if you, Marshall, had
it started
scaled
to
down difficulty since then with your encounters, or if it wasn't something you had really put thought into.
Yeah, it was mostly that as I was kind of saying while you were frozen, I just underestimated, I think, how little damage you guys could do to those devils. Especially without somebody who is just more efficient, like Poe. A big thing was actually me struggling to find a good identity for Silica. Especially because at the time I really didn't like managing wild shapes with her as an NPC, because wild shape can be a bit to manage as a player. Just trying to remember, especially when you're don't have something like we have now with D&D Beyond. But
D&D Beyond.
the benefit it does have is that you can better track your temp HP, or you can kind of just realize that you can treat it like temp HP. You have all the stat blocks for all those animals kind of right on hand. So there's ways to make it much more manageable. Whereas especially when I'm running the stream, I'm trying to make sure Roll20 is okay, and then I'm trying to play this NPC. I just wanted to keep it as simple as possible. And I think by not making her a ranger, I really kind of lost the bigger part of the identity that I wanted with her. But the reason I think I made her a druid was partly into my still lingering, which still exists, but even more lingering at the time, 3.5-ness, where druid is very different, and both Pathfinder and 3.5. So I think the two things that made it more difficult was not having Poe and just not giving you guys the magical items that I gave you guys later. And I think once you guys got a lot more of these magical items, I started just to struggle to figure out like what's too hard and what is too, and like what is like finding that middle ground of like the perfect difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually from that encounter where I got my first magical item.
Which was what again?
The Wings of Flying. I had to fight Seraphina for him.
Right.
Where was that?
That was Eastguard.
That was in
That was actually the treasure chest.
Yes.
Opened it up, grabbed those, had a big debate. We were on our way. Exhaustion happened. That was a very, very eventful episode.
Oh, that was. It was very much so.
Unfortunately,
So for
we
me,
lost the time.
Because I was thinking about this for the past week. For me, pretty much the entirety of that Eastguard arc, from us arriving there, me casting suggestion on that enemy and letting everyone know that it was a temporary thing, and so they all immediately murdered him.
Yep.
Well, to be
going
fair,
to the White Owlbear
to
Tavern.
be fair,
The whole
he
thing
stopped.
with to be fair, but that was just amazing. But like the whole thing with the White Owlbear Tavern, the Avatar of Death, Pathos getting stabbed, going into the abandoned place with the ghosts so that we could retrieve the crystal for the airship, everything that happened in there, bumping into Silica, me and Seraphina collecting the white flower for Pathos after he had been stabbed. Just like everything that happened in that arc, I remember it so clearly, and I was having so much fun, and it felt just like pure D&D to me. And I think it was also the point in the campaign where I felt really comfortable with how I was playing the game, because leading up to that point, it was my first time playing an actual proper D&D campaign, and there was a lot of kind of fumbling around and not really knowing how to play my character, how I wanted to do things, how things worked. And I feel like that arc is kind of where a lot of it kind of clicked into place. A lot of the dynamic with me and Jet, I feel like really was cemented with that arc. A lot of it just kind of came together during that time, and like that more than any other arc, that the events that happen in Eastguard like really stand out to me, and I really loved.
Yeah,
And the twist surprise end. Oh, I love that.
Yes, a good story ends with a twist. I would know from M. Night Shyamalan. No, that honestly, like, I think the biggest reason I think I never, I just couldn't repeat what I did with Yeastguard. It was kind of two things. It was like twofold. I struggled a lot with like motivation in like my direction of this campaign, because I was so, and this is almost like a warning to anybody that tries to do very story driven campaigns, is that, you know, like trying to figure out what your checkpoints are in terms of getting there, it like trying to get your party to these checkpoints can, while it can help you, it can also hurt you. And like Yeastguard was a good example of where it can really help you, because I knew events that I wanted to have happen, right? I knew that in Yeastguard, I wanted to, you know, I wanted you guys to have to go on a fetch quest. I wanted to kind of, you'd be able to see kind of the craziness that is this weird extra plane, because the outer planes are wild. See things that you can't fight and have to run away from them. And then also like, so like within that fetch quest, being able to then just fight things that are normal, so just have a normal encounter, right, thrown in there, and then have like, you know, and then essentially give you guys like the like intermediate like way of like suspicion in terms of like somebody is trying to get rid of you guys, like somebody knows who you are and like what you're doing, you know. And then I knew I wanted to get rid of Poe, because I wanted you guys to kind of start to try to be a little more self-sufficient. And I wanted to have, and potentially I just wanted to add a different NPC that I felt like was something that I would kind of want to be more of an NPC as. And that was kind of where Silica came in. Because she was just more of a NPC that like I really wanted to kind of play. As so that you guys still had that like rounder in your party. So you weren't like, because especially then, the only person that had healing spells was Tark. So just somebody that gives you that extra hand, but then also has some unique things to kind of help you guys out in a pinch and be somewhat of a guide if you get lost. Because I think that was always the big thing when you have a very story-based campaign, is the fear that you guys get lost.
That's the problem with story campaigns. Like, as soon as your PCs decide to go off script, you're kind of like trying to herd cats.
Yeah. But that was the thing, was like, you guys really don't. Or didn't, you didn't then either. Like you very much are just kind of like, the problem, if anything, we just had was just like, what do we do? And then it was just a lot of nothing, because a lot of you were very new at the time still. So there wasn't a lot of like, I'm just going to do this.
Yeah, I was definitely really hesitant to go off the beaten path.
Yeah.
That's like, why I didn't want to pick a magic character. I have no idea how to play him.
Well, that was the thing, though. It just was like trying to get you, like, having a party that almost wants to go off a beaten path is like helpful, because you're kind of getting them to start thinking about their characters in a way, like you're making them starting to act in a way that their characters would think. So it's like, like, well, it's kind of like whenever Kristoff would just do like I'm just going, I'm bored, I'm just going.
Yep.
Right? It forces something, right? Whether or not it was exactly what I wanted him to do at that time or not, it was just like it got things to move, and that was just something that I think you guys didn't think about as much then.
Yeah, there he goes again.
Oh, I think he might be switching.
Hang
back.
on.
Yeah, I think he's switching
Might be
back.
switching back.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
gonna make the attempt to switch back.
Okay, I thought.
Let's see.
No, that's another very off topic.
So was Eastguard more of one of your favorites, Jet? Then when you got the Wings of Flying.
That was a pretty good one, but my personal favorite was actually the first time. I think it was the first session, or maybe second or third. But when we met the old magic guy, and he took my bag of holding, and he took his bag of holding, and stuffed them together, and we're
both
across the void.
Yes.
Oh God.
To the astral plane with you.
And there's all these pools of colors just floating around. We're in the abyss. It's magical.
Well, you were in the astral plane. The abyss was an option at one point that you guys avoided.
You did not want to go to the abyss. The abyss is a very scary place.
Yes, you guys chose to go to. What was it? Because where was it that would have sent you to? You guys. That was when you guys went to. I think it was when you guys went to Yeastguard. You either could have went to Yeastguard, Hell, or the Abyss. Because I actually planned on you guys going to those two places eventually. I wanted to have.
Like Purgatory?
Yeah, I was planning on you guys doing a lot more planar travel.
What about the Abyss?
Yeah, what was that, Jade?
What was that? The one that was like Purgatory? It was black.
No, the Abyss is
Oh no, I did give you guys a Purgatory one at one point. That's right.
That's the one I was interested in.
Oh, you found that link again.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Good, thanks.
The Abyss is like it's a plane of infinite layers, and the further down you go, the worse it gets. It is pure evil and chaos, and that's where demons spawned from nothing.
Nice. Oh yeah, no, fuck that.
Yep, and that's where Zargon was imprisoned. I potentially had you guys planning on going to there or Purgatory. I must have decided on Purgatory actually at one point. But then that was kind of why I also wanted to give you guys that level bump right away. But then that again was going into like, like it was actually part of it was more of, I think what started to kill parts of where I wanted the full direction of this campaign to go was when we started Nat 1 and we got to the new channel and stuff like that. I really kind of wanted it to be something that my concern was like, well, we're like all the way into this campaign that started on a different channel years ago. And like my problem was like viewers aren't going to know what the hell you are, what's going on, what led up to this. So if it kept going for like another year or couple, it was like, ugh. It's like eventually like it's just gonna get lost. Where a part of me just kind of had wanted to like get to a newer setting sooner rather than later. So I just kind of I kind of switched things around in my plans and just decided to kind of keep you guys towards more of the material plane, though you made that trip to the Feywild. Just kind of wanting to get you guys more closer to the end. I just sped up the process rather than like forcing you to the end. Like I just changed, like I made it so that you would get your we did, because we had to do the whole water deep dungeon.
You did Shadows of an Empire Kai, just skip the filler. Let's move on.
Well, to be fair, that being in there though was relevant because I used that as a place to be able to give essentially Tarek his crystallized weapon, and then that made it easier for me then to use, because I already planned at some point to have another crystal be given to you in the Feywild. So I changed it from the Feywild itself. But it was around that time, so I had you guys minutely travel through it. But then again, I just kind of wanted to. I had already started planning the dark matter stuff. We were kind of getting ready to go on it, so I was a little impatient with the Feywild. But
do with the elves. Move on.
What's more than elves? I mean, you guys could have been offered deals upon deals.
Yes, deals upon deals. You could have been told to go fetch a feather from a dude's hat for
just give me the whole
reasons
hat,
you don't really know, but you agree to it, so you're kind of screwed.
Give me that person's arm.
Steal this guy's crown.
He's gonna wake
There's one single piece of loose leaf paper in this person's hut. Find it.
And I'll give you immeasurable power. Think of like any Lord of the Feywild, like the Queen Elf in Lord of the Rings.
Not gonna lie, I would probably have taken the deal.
Oh no! A lot of people take the deals.
Absolutely,
a lot of people take the deals.
Yeah. Oh, there goes Dylan again. Yeah, no, a lot of people. I mean,
no, I'm just
we needed Scots, but that was because
I was about to say I'm gonna go off topic, but it's elaborate. Like,
to be fair,
there's two group deals.
We were kind of under the impression that we were gonna be leaving, so we're just kind of like, hey, who gives a shit, right?
I don't know about you. My deal was 100% serious, and I want to succeed in that.
Yours made decent.
Yeah, mine made decent sense. Like. That warlock, like when you think about it, it is a shit deal I have from that patron.
Yeah, and to be fair,
and if I have the opportunity to get out, hell yeah.
The deal I made for my character wasn't very like out of like off book, because to her it was just like, oh, I'll give you secrets. Oh, cool, sure, then yeah, why not? Because like she's just gonna be like, that makes sense.
I mean, if it wasn't a Fey Lord, I was just gonna start summoning demons until I summon the right one to get me a connection with like a demon lord. But then I realized like, with Cogs and the rest of the party around, if I'm just summoning demons and like using them as like basically like telephone lines, I think I'm gonna get killed.
Yeah, if you did that, if you at all summoned a demon when Cogs was in our party on that campaign, you'd be dead so fast.
Hell, if I just walked up to
I
another
mean, think
Tiefling
of-
and started speaking in Infernal, he'd probably smack me.
Well, as I say, think of you as Kristoff. If anybody in the party is just like summon demon, then you'd just be like, no, I don't like this.
Yeah, no. Playing Kristoff gave me some more insight on the troubles I caused John as Mischief. Am I sorry I caused those troubles? Hell no. Do I understand his like borderline mental breakdowns when I did a thing and he just looked at me like, "Why are you doing this, woman?" But yeah.
Yeah, there were some times like there were definitely moments where I would look at Mischief as weirdly when I was playing my bard. But like there were some things. It was more of the like sociable things.
Yeah, we've had lengthy
Where it was
discussions
like-
about
Where
that.
it was like, yeah, sure, why not? That makes sense. But then there were like the other things, like making an image of the weird tentacle demon.
She wanted to see if she can make good illusions.
And too good. You got
That
gunned
is
down to the
something that
street.
everyone in the party that is something everyone in the party knew fairly well, so they could just see if it's a fake or not. And who knew it the best? Your bard. So where were you at the time? You were probably in your bedroom. Yeah, I'm gonna go for it. Did I get shoot down to the street like a dog? Yes, I did. Did I get branded because of it? Yes, I did. Was it worth it? Yes.
Definitely something
Absolutely.
I'm hoping to foster in the future are a lot more of you guys' ability to be able to essentially you live near each other, but you essentially your
Traumatize each
ability-
other?
No, but your ability to like go home and just like, all right, just do what
Be?
you would do. Yeah, just like now you get to do the like, oh, you guys went on this cool quest, came back, or this cool job, came back, successful, got some money.
All right, this is.
Hey,
Oh, I'm
you got the
probably
night
gonna
off.
bring
What
up.
you gonna do?
I'm probably gonna bring up more stuff from the Friday game, but one of the things like when we're just basically at our houses at night, and I was told to clean Norman's guest house that I've been squatting in for like months.
Yeah, you were swatting there.
One of the things I did was at some point, Mischief stole a goat from a farmer and did like a half-assed ritual,
Yeah, that's right.
and just kind of gave up halfway through. So I just kind of dragged a goat carcass into his front backyard and left it there.
Oh, that's right.
And he saw me do it. And he's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And I'm like, "You told me to clean, so I am."
And then he saw
It's
you
just
just
stuff
leave
like
it.
this.
Oh, that's a part of. So
At
many
the time,
reasons
she
why
had
I
8
miss-
intelligence. Like,
Well,
it's
it's so many times why I miss Matt being at the shop because his reactions between you and Franny's characters just essentially destroying his home, just ransacking them.
yeah, Franny's
putting
digging
holes
holes
in his yard. Mold Earth is an amazing cantrip.
Yeah, that's it. I want to take it for. Again, like I said, I'm bringing up the Friday game. I want to put it on myself in the Friday Modern campaign, but I'm just like, I don't know if it'll work with the concrete jungle.
Yeah, there's less dirt.
Not a lot of open soil.
Yeah, no, Franny and the Mold Earth cantrip was quite a joy.
I was so happy I had that because I'm like, yes, that like completely solves the problem of I can't cast Disguise Self while I'm asleep. I'll just put something over my head and I'll hide in the hole.
Yes, so in our Friday group, Peyton had the interesting attempt that because he could at will cast Disguise Self. And so
I was basically trying to hide the fact that my
Yeah.
tiefling was a tiefling
Yeah,
by constantly
so-
disguising himself to pretend to be human.
yeah, so it was very interesting. A couple times. So obviously, just from the fact that since he would always disguise self, he's had to be kind of careful about where he'd be when he slept, because then people would know he was a tiefling, because you can't keep casting it when he's asleep. But then there was a point where Franny's character, like, grabbed near her and accidentally grabbed her tail. but he didn't obviously see it, and he was just playing this like kid who doesn't really talk and wasn't really a part of society.
No, for some I think it was just to fuck with Matt, but then he stopped showing up. Wait, no, it was because I was told to clean, and my dumb warlock mind was like, all right, maid's clean, so I need a maid outfit, so I did disguise self and had a maid outfit. Just kept it on.
Yeah, there was something that...
At some point, for anyone was like, I reach for Mrs. Skirt, and I'm like, she's wearing pants and it's just an illusion. So roll odds or evens. He rolled odds. I'm like, all right, you firmly grasp Mischief's invisible tail. You do, Franny.
And
you firmly grasp it.
So he had the belief that he had grabbed her tail somehow, or like that somehow this woman
that character
has
legit
a tail.
Thought,
and so he had to believe, she tricked him into the belief that all women had tails. So he eventually looked at my character's back, like essentially my character's ass, just man. Where is it?
I think he did that to our other bard.
No, she did it to me. Yeah, he did it. No, he did it to me.
Oh no, yeah, he did it to you. He did it to you where she like.
And I was just like, "Can I help you?"
Yeah, no, I think he stood up off the carriage and he kind of just quickly did this like wave past your ass and just.
Can I help you there?
I loved that warlock, Franny's character.
Rare,
I'm sad. Rare. I love that character. I'm sad. I'm kind of happy he switched to Finn because it's essentially the same character, just slightly more knowledgeable.
Finn has been a better punching bag. Literally.
That character's been abused so much.
Yeah. Speaking of abused characters, in a way, more about getting the pointed finger. So, Jade, I have to like. I really kind of have to have this discussion with you about Jet.
I didn't do it. Whatever it is, you can't prove nothing.
I struggled with you so much. I wanted to try to like develop your character, try to start an arc. I didn't want to like immediately make you like this perfect good guy, you know, like the way your character ended was exactly a way that I was hoping that it would go, where like you were innately proved that you were good and you actually did care about the people with you, but you know, old habits die hard. You know, that was about what I was hoping to get out of it, which I was glad that's what you kind of noted. But I struggled so hard the entire campaign to just try to start this arc, and you just beat me down every time.
All right. So, in my defense, and this has nothing to do with anyone here, not you, Peyton, not nobody here. I was actually planning on it. I was becoming good friends with Talric. Franny was there. He existed. And then Kristoff came and was just stonewalling me against any fun I wanted to have. I turned to Talric like, hey, man, we should totally do this. And this guy's standing right behind his shoulders like, no. Like, all right, fine, screw it. Franny, you want to go do this? And Kristoff's right behind me going, no. I'm like, all right, fine, fuck it. I'm doing it myself.
The only time I think that Franny was on board with you is just when you wanted to steal Zox's gold. That's obviously just because he hated Zox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was personal motivation there.
Yeah. There's a vendetta.
It deeply hurt me as a player to where I'm sitting there like, there is like no reason why Kristoff would not agree with Jet right now. And that just hurts me. Because the entire relationship is Kristoff saying, no, you can't do that. And then this one moment of, you know what, maybe we should just kill this person. And he's just sitting there and he's like, you're not wrong, but it's not a good option.
I feel like I was the people's champion. What the audience was thinking is what I was saying. They should just kill the guy. Let's just kill the guy.
I mean, okay, like when we like, oh, okay, this is either like actual mental insanity or some sort of magical bullshit, and this is not gonna be easy to fix. My first instinct is like, all right, just offer, fuck it, let's be done, let's go. But I'm like, that's not what Kristoff would do. Yeah. But then the option was presented to him, and the simple option was the best option. He was like, you're not wrong, but I really wish you weren't.
Yeah, well, and that's why, like, I was trying to... that was the one time I was even trying to push you to kill him, because I was like, this is essentially the objective I gave you when I gave you like this dagger, because like your punishment for being a thorn in my side, RP wise, for up to that point, was the fact that you had to unlock your magical item, right? Tarek got his manual, Cedric got his archmage robes. You had to unlock yours because I wanted you to kind of have to work for it. And this was finally it. Like this was the type of thing I was wanting you to do, which is like, use the snake to cut a snake. That was like the idea.
Was that for Zox in the dungeon, or
Yeah.
Yes.
So Zox is a snake, and
I was talking about whatever Pathos' girlfriend name was.
Cassandra?
Sandra?
Yeah, I was talking
It's
about
not
Cassandra.
It's just Sandra.
Sandra.
Yeah, Sandra.
I would say
Sandra.
Yeah, I would say Cassandra a lot because I would combine the two.
I think everyone did that at least once.
Yeah.
I did it first and got yelled at.
Combined them and made Cassandra.
And I made them at totally different points in time. So like I had no idea that I totally forgot that Cassandra is just a name. So that I had Cassidy and Sandra, it just made it way too easy to like combine the two.
I mean, PCs like rename NPCs all the time.
Right.
Like,
but I would even screw it up, which is a problem.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I cannot tell you how many times when we were given a cleric NPC and we called them by the wrong name and they would correct us and like, yeah, no, this is your name now.
This is your name now.
This is what you are referred to. Have a problem, leave. And then we're shocked when they actually leave. Like, I thought we had a good thing going. We fight and you healed us, and sure, we gave you shit, but we're truly grateful for the job you did. And it was like, okay, what's my name? Oh, fuck.
We're gonna call you Doc. Alright, but I don't think it's gonna stick.
Like, the only reason we remembered Alice's name is because, like, the whole priest girl from Goblin Slayer, and I was like,
right.
oh yeah, you could totally see that being her name if those characters were named.
Oh, I mean, I forgot plenty of times because I didn't.
Also,
I didn't
the
have
fact that we
connection.
gave that cleric so much shit.
Yeah.
That poor little cleric girl. And I'm off topic
fair,
again. I'm sorry.
She's the reason we had to fight the genie. Also, Dylan is just a black screen to me.
Yeah, I didn't want to mention it, but I hear him, but he's just a black screen.
Yeah, you're there, Dylan. It's just for some reason the webcam.
I mean, is he
didn't
gone now?
connect.
Dylan, send off.
Oh,
there he goes. There he goes.
All right.
But yeah,
What?
it did pain me as a player to agree with Jet in that instance of let's just kill Sandra.
The Sandra one, yeah.
Sandra.
I think they're
solves a lot of issues.
yeah.
That caused or it solved?
Both.
Okay.
It was funny because the initial reason for a while I had the idea. For some reason when I originally came up with that whole conflict, I guess, was I had it with the idea that like she was a Kalashtar, and so this was like the evil spirits that like haunt them, or like that potentially they're trying to run away from and hide from, like was able to get to her because of like stuff like the blade and like sabotaging her memory, and like that's what kind of drove her. So like, and that can't be cured by something like disease, and can't be and remove curse because it's not a curse. It's a spirit haunting her.
So that would be like full on exorcism to maybe possibly.
Yeah. So
fixing
that was
it.
kind of why like she had to die. But I had kind of neglected that, and that was kind of a big reason why. And that was kind of why I was like, well, if she dies, the spirit's gonna be like, all right, Let's
Job
go.
here is done.
'cause
One
the
less of
idea
them.
is like, I'm now time
Hold
to
on.
come with me to the evil land, and then she gets resurrected, and it like flies out of her, like the spirit's holding her spirit. It's just like, come with me to evil land, and it's just like, damn it, where'd she go?
All right,
I just had her.
all right. I might be remembering this wrong, but I think it was like Pathos was like basically cradling her unconscious or near dead body before we decided like, all right, put her down.
Up
This
on her
is it.
stack.
Like I was gonna like have like Kristoff like take her in the guy like this would be the only lie he would ever tell at this point was like, all right, I'm gonna heal her real quick, kind of take her away from Pathos, and then just straight up snap her neck. That would be
Yeah.
like his only lie he would ever told during the time I've played him.